What's going on, wrestling family? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm gonna have to do a really quick review of Monday Night Raw because it is super late at night and I gotta be at work early in the morning. So regardless of that, because I love to talk to you guys about wrestling, I'm gonna give you guys some type of review. Now, before we get started, some of you guys know what to do. If not, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join the family, and let's get into this. So tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, guys. Tonight's episode, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a masterclass of how to handle a 3-hour long weekly televised episode of pro wrestling. As opposed to what we got last week on SmackDown, it felt like I was doing a double shift with overtime watching that show because it felt like everything got dragged out. I don't know why. I was so exhausted when the show was over, but today, this episode felt like the pacing was perfect, even though the 30 minutes were taken off at the end for whatever reason it was. But overall, the pacing of the show was really, really good. And dare I say, this may be a hot take, but this is just how I feel. I like this episode of Raw better than last week's. I do. I know that was the premiere of Raw. I understand it, but as a weekly televised wrestling show, I like this episode today better than last week. Now, I do like that episode. I understand why it existed. I know it's for the glitz and the glam and showing off the celebrities, and it's promoting it to, people who haven't watched wrestling in a long time or people who haven't watched wrestling ever. I get why it was, structured the way it was structured. So I'm not mad at that episode. I liked it. But tonight was a great show. Really, really good show. So there's so many reasons why I really love this show. For one, the lack thereof involvement of the general manager, right? As we saw last week on SmackDown, it felt like every other promo, Nick Aldis would come out and be like, oh, 5 of you guys are fighting. You're gonna have a match tonight. And having that happen isn't a problem, but when it keeps happening over and over, it feels like that the creative team behind the show didn't really have a plan beforehand. That they just really threw things together and say, oh, just throw Nick Aldis out there in a random promo and just make them have a match. It just felt like it was just all over the place, and it kind of kills the pacing of the show. Tonight on Raw, we didn't hear or see a lot from Adam Pearce, right? We heard his name heard his name being said a couple of times, but I think the most we seen visually from him is when he was holding the Women's Intercontinental Championship belt before the match between Lyra Valkyria and Dakota Kai. Now, I'm not saying, you can't have those moments where the manager comes in and create these matches. They have their time and place, but you don't have to go crazy with it, and sometimes they're not always needed. You don't have to have that happen literally all the time. Oh yeah, the other time we saw him is when Finn Balor was on the stretcher. He came out to help out the medical staff. But outside of that, they didn't go too crazy with that. I do like Nick Aldis. I do like Adam Pearce, but it don't have to be like that all the time. The other thing that I really loved about tonight's episode of Raw is the matches. The matches were great. They gave those matches a ton of time, and it didn't feel like it was just a bunch of filler spots in the match. It felt like the matches were being built up to something. And dare I say, some of the matches felt like they were PLE level matches, and what made the matches even better, and I want to give them my salute really, really quick before I start talking about these matches, is that crowd in San Jose. They made this show amazing. They are a fantastic crowd. They made this, oh my God. Especially when Penta came out, the pop that he got from that crowd, the boos they were giving Chad Gable during that match, I thought they made this match way, way better. So now that we're already speaking of that match, we saw Penta debut tonight. And as they said on the commentary team, he is one of the worst kept secrets in WWE. We saw his merch all over the WWE shop. We saw videos online of him walking around, carrying the luggage and everything like that, which personally for me, I still think it would have been better for him to debut on the Netflix episode or the debut on Netflix of Raw and interfere a promo with Rey Mysterio, but they didn't do that. So this being the alternative as him being the mystery luchador, which they described him in. At that point, they should have just put his name there, bro. They described him and we saw, his stuff in the merch. They should have just told us what it was. But he came out, he had a pretty good match with Chad Gable. I think that was a great match. And one of the things that they had going on in that match and other matches is that they had different styles of matches. One match was a technical match, another one was hard hitting, another one was a hardcore match. So many different types of matches. I think that made the show really, really good. But focusing on this match between Penta and Chad Gable, I thought it was great. Penta seemed like he was kind of shaking the rust off in the beginning of the match. You can see where he kind of, I don't want to say botched, but had a lot of miscues in certain spots or whatever. But the way that he was selling selling the leg injury in the match. I thought it was fantastic, but I thought he looked great in this match. I think he did a fantastic job, and I love the fact that just because he's the new guy that a lot of people love, they didn't use him to bury Chad Gable. They both looked pretty evenly matched in this match itself, and I think they did a great job with that. And the promo that he cut at the end of the match, I don't fully understand Spanish. I should have paid attention in my Spanish class in high school, but I can, feel the passion behind everything that he was saying, and I think he's a great addition to the WWE team. The other match that I loved was Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus. I didn't have too much of a high expectation for this match, but man, this match was hard hitting. From the kicks to the chops to the slaps, it was a whole lot of stiff hitting each other, right? They were just laying it on each other. And it kind of reminded me, in a sense, and I'm not going to say it's as good as this match, but in that matter of it being hard hitting, it reminded me of WrestleMania 39 in the triple threat match between Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus. Just the way they were hitting each other. They didn't get as red as those three men did in that match, but they just kind of just went crazy, and Sheamus went over in this match. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens after that. Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria. I thought that match was really, really good as well. That suplex to the outside of the ring, oh my God, that looked dangerous. But overall, I think the women did a really good job in this match, and picking Lyra Valkyria to win this match, I feel like it made sense. As much as I love Dakota Kai and I wanted her to win this match, I felt like, as I told other people, before King and Queen in the ring, it seemed like they were going to put a rocket on the back of Lyra Valkyria, especially with her being around Becky Lynch. But once Becky left, it seemed like they just kind of forgot about her. They just put her in these random matches with Katana Chance and Kaden Carter and all these different things. It was just like, what are you guys doing with her? So now it feels like they're really going to, send her in that direction, especially with her being a champion. I think that's a great idea. I think she's fantastic in the ring. One of the people in the chat, they said something that I thought was true. Her wrestling style does kind of remind me of Daniel Bryan a little bit, right? So I think that she will be a great champion, and I think it would be great, in this moment to have a newer person become the inaugural champion, as opposed to Chelsea Green, who's been in WWE, left and came back, and for whatever reasons, it's great to have a fresh face to have that title. But it's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to do with her next. The other matches that we had the street fight between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, which we saw what happened there. I thought, the spot where Finn Balor was on the stretcher kind of killed the momentum in the match a little bit. Even the crowd seemed kind of dead after that happened. Now, for a moment, they did get me. I thought Finn Balor was legit injured because we were at like 9 o'clock in this time, and the show's not supposed to be over at 10. So when this injury happened, it was like at 9:15. So I'm like, we're gonna go the injury angle and put him on a stretcher this early. So I just thought, like, bro, this has to be real. But come to find out, it wasn't real, and Damian Priest attacked him and put him inside the ring, and you got other people involved, and from that point on, it kind of took away the momentum of the match. But the match overall was still good. I just thought it was kind of weird to have Damian Priest go over in this match, because I thought for a fact that Finn Balor would benefit more from the win. So I don't know why they made that choice. I'm assuming they're going to have a 6-man tag match between Finn and the Judgment Day versus the Viking Raiders and Damian Priest. But since Finn lost this match, just close the chapter on this, man, because I feel like this was the last chance for him to win against Damian Priest overall. But for me, I love these type of matches. I love hardcore matches and things like that. I'm missing another match. I feel like there's another match that I'm missing. Oh yeah, we had what else we have? Yeah, Sami Zayn versus The Miz, which I thought was a decent match as well. But overall, I thought we had really great matches tonight. The promo between Seth, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, you got 3 of the biggest haters in the history of pro wrestling when it comes to being on the mic. The most pettiest people ever to be on the mic, and they showcased that tonight. I felt like Drew McIntyre was getting jumped by Seth and CM Punk on the mic, which I thought was really kind of strange. But overall, all 3 guys went on there. And speaking of people going crazy on the mic, Gunther, my guy, turned Netflix into the Food Network. He was cooking. He was so bad. He said you're only going to be known as a great tag team wrestler, and you don't deserve to. You only call it the main event as a nickname. I belong on the main. Like, this version of Gunther. This was that IC title Gunther we got tonight. This is the IC champion Gunther we got tonight, and I think he did, oh my god, he cooked as much, you know. And even though Jey Uso at the end sounded like he was about to cry, bro, I don't know, man. Gunther really cooked this, man, bro. I don't even know how you bounce back from that, but man, Gunther did a fantastic job, which still makes me wonder, like, why did they even go that angle of the whole, oh, I'm insecure because I lost to Cody, and then he just bounced back out of nowhere. It's very interesting as to know why they did that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And then we had a whole segment which I thought was very, in my personal opinion, kind of unnecessary. I get why they needed it to happen, but to have Nia Jax come out and have a segment with Rhea Ripley and with Bayley, and it was just like, it felt like last week's episode on SmackDown when it had that whole thing with Nia Jax and Bianca Belair. Like, it just all felt like it was just like, why is this happening right now? I get what came out of it, but at the same time, it just felt like a dead point of the show right when it happened. You know, it just felt weird. But overall, you know, to end this quick review, guys, I thought the show was really, really good. I had a lot of fun despite of the things that I felt like weren't that great. Overall, it really felt like a PLE. It felt more like a PLE with segments in it than Saturday Night Main Event did. And I know Saturday Night Main Event is not a PLE, but it's a diet PLE. It's the closest thing to a PLE to not being a PLE. But as far as how it felt, it didn't feel that way. Raw tonight definitely felt like a PLE in my personal opinion, or the closest thing you can get to it. But anyway, what did you guys think about this episode of Raw? What did you like? What did you dislike? Let me know in the comment section. I'm gonna sleep good tonight knowing that my boys won. They did a good job. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Salute. Peace. Have a great day.